gente. Welcome to another impromptu episode of On the Block with Jen. You know, we come on every single Friday, but No Saint is here visiting me on the West Coast, so we got to get in where we could fit in. Pause. Pause in the name of Dame Dash. Hola, mi gente. Good to see y'all. Whoever is here, thank you for being here because we didn't even let y'all know we were going to be here. You guys know the drill. What's up, chat? Good to see y'all. You guys can come up and argue with us if you like. I want to come out the gate because this is hot off the presses. Dame Dash versus The Breakfast Club. Believe it or not, I dragged No Saint into watching the whole entire episode of The Breakfast Club. Charlemagne versus Dame Dash versus DJ Envy. I have a lot of, opinions on it, of course. No Saint, the resident white guy, it was interesting because you was watching, but you were asking me like who was who in the politics of it, but you picked up pretty quickly, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to know these players to know the tension and the energy that was, in that room, how it was going on. So before I say what I got to say, chat, what do you think about Dame Dash versus The Breakfast Club, specifically versus Charlemagne? I don't think it was as playful as Charlemagne tried to make it sound like, oh, this is what we do. It didn't seem that way from what I was looking at. It looked like a lot of, passive aggressiveness, a lot of sarcasm, a lot of hate, a lot of bad blood, and a lot of bad energy. It didn't look like, oh, this is how me and him get down. Like sometimes we get down with our friends when we roast each other. Looked a little different. So let me know, chat, what you think about Dame Dash versus The Breakfast Club. You guys could come up. I prefer you show us your beautiful face because I hate talking to boxes. Okay, I don't like it. I need to see your expression, your lips moving, your face. I got to see them pantomime, see if you blowing smoke up my beautiful booty. So try to show yourself. If I'm on here tired AF, you can show yourself. Go get your lip gloss on and come on up here with us, okay? And I'll drop the link for you. In the meantime, as I drop the link in the chat, No Saint, what did you think now that you know? Because you asked me who Dame Dash was. You asked me who DJ Envy was. You knew who Charlemagne was already, right? Mm-hmm. He's the biggest mouth there. The women on the show, respectfully, they don't really matter, right? Because the beef is long ongoing between Charlemagne, Dame Dash, and even DJ Envy, right? A lot was said during that interview. So we're going to leave the girls out of it. Who the hell cares about Just Hilarious and whoever the other girl is, respectfully. Okay, I'm going to drop the link in case anybody wants to come up and show us their face, por favor. No Saint, what did you think about, just without even really knowing the history of these guys, what did you think about what you witnessed today as someone who's not attached to it, say like we are, because we know these characters for decades?
Well, when I was listening to the show, first of all, when I was listening to it and before I came over and started watching it, I was listening to it and I was just laughing because I couldn't believe that the way they were talking to each other. When I saw it, it was even worse because there were times, like, I mean, it was very odd. So there were times when Charlemagne would say something. First of all, a lot of the time it was not even, he was interrupting, like he would interrupt somebody else's story to take a jab at Dame, and then he would laugh, like kind of fake laugh a little bit, like, and I'm like, oh my God, the tension. I just felt the tension. Like it was almost like he was trying to cover up and say, well, this is all part of the show. This, what's the problem? I'm joking. Like if something would have gone south, I was just joking. It was really, but boy, it was, I not being used to seeing that show. I don't know how, I've seen clips and stuff like that. I don't know how exactly if that show is always like that. I just have never, it was really interesting and uncomfortable at sometimes.
Okay, so I'm asking you specifically because you made note of something. Dame Dash, like many other Black public figures, have sort of this complex, right? They always say white people are going to think we interact like this. White people are going to think X, Y, and Z about us. White people are watching us. And you notice that Dame Dash said that. What was your reaction to that? As a white person, he's worried about what you think about his interaction with Charlemagne. What do you think about that?
Well, he was about to say like, what, and I when she paused it, I said, "Did you hear what he just said?" He said he was about to say, "What are white people gonna think of us?" And I was like, "Why does he care? Why would you care what, First of all, I was telling Jen, like, the majority of people, I would say probably most of the people I work with, unless they're black, don't even know any of these people. So they're not going to think anything because they don't, it's not even in their radar. But it was just really an odd statement. Like, well, what are white people going to say about this? I felt it just kind of odd.
Okay. I've noticed that myself too, like when black people are like, well, Latins are black too, right? And I'm like, no, the cultures and ethnicities are quite different, right? I grew up in New York. Most of my friends and family are black and Latin, but the cultures are still different. Our music is different. The way we speak is different. Our food is different. Although sometimes they kind of mesh because it's like, oh, you eat fried banana too, right? If we're talking about like Caribbean people or Jamaican people. So some of our food meshes because of the diaspora and the slave trade and all that, what have you. But still, Latin culture and music and what have you and the traditions are still very different from black culture, music, traditions, and food, right? We are two different ethnicities, even though we meet in the middle sometimes. When I say that, I've heard ad nauseum, well, when the cops roll up, you're going to be black too. Meaning when the white person approaches me, I'm going to be black too. So there's this constant emphasis on what white people think of us. And you found that odd because you didn't know who any of those characters were.
Except for the one, yeah.
Except for Charlemagne.
Right. I didn't know the other two guys or the woman.
Okay, so with that said, right, you did think something as a white person. You said at times you were uncomfortable. Why were you uncomfortable?
Well, because to me, since I didn't know the dynamic between, all three of them, it was odd that for me that they had a guest up there and they were kind of attacking and trying to get a reaction out of them. And it just didn't, it was uncomfortable because I wasn't 100% positive they were serious. I was trying to figure that out, but so it was uncomfortable because of the words they were using towards each other. I was like, that doesn't sound like something you would say to a guest or, as they're coming in. It almost seemed like a setup a little bit. And so that's why I was uncomfortable. I was just like, man, this may go south,
Okay, so and I don't want to lead you in any way, but would you have felt uncomfortable if there was any race or ethnicity up there behaving the way they were behaving?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Unless I knew the show. Maybe if I knew the show a little bit better, like, because when I watch Howard Stern, there's a lot of stuff that happens on Howard Stern that is uncomfortable, actually. Mm-hmm. That is uncomfortable. But I also know the characters in the show, and I've heard it so many times now. Even though, like I said, it can get uncomfortable there too. So yeah, I'd say the same thing.
Okay, so my opinion of it was this. I don't know why. I don't see Dame Dash, love him or hate him, he's a businessman. He's a successful businessman. Now, whether or not his businesses tank from time to time, he does have a point. That's what happens with business people and entrepreneurs, right? Tyler Perry's a $1 billion man now with a ginormous lot. His lot is bigger than some in Hollywood, California. Love him or hate him, he failed many, many, many times. His first plays failed many, many, many times, right? So when you're working independently and you don't want to, count on the man, right? Or depend on anybody, you're going to fail. You're going to pass and fail a lot of times. But for some reason, he gets a lot of heat for failing. They brought up him owing child support. They brought up he doesn't have any real business dealings with Revolt, formerly, Diddy's, business. So, he gets a lot of heat for it. I felt he was being disrespected a lot. And you said something that was interesting. But before I get into that, I want to stay on this point. I don't know why Dame Dash continues to go to the Breakfast Club. It looks very volatile. It looks hostile. It doesn't look like, we're just playing. It looks like bad blood to me. And it looks like Charlemagne and Dame Dash are really trying to hurt each other. And they're really trying to dig in. Well, you're broke from Charlamagne's side. You're broke, right? And then, as you know, Dame Dash was like, well, you're gay. And they're twisting the knife, and it's redundant, and they're saying it over and over again. I don't know why Dame Dash continues to go up there. Now, at first, I thought it was strategy. I said, well, Dame Dash goes up there, stirs the pot, kicks dirt around, but then he gets to promote, right, whatever his business ventures are. Because like it or not, the Breakfast Club does have a huge following and a huge audience. So I was thinking, okay, Dame Dash is going up there because he's strategizing, and it doesn't matter what goes down in the Breakfast Club. People are going to hear, hey, I got Steak and Revolt. Hey, look at this new white girl that I'm promoting who sings. Hey, my film is gonna drop, blah, blah, blah. Hey, America New, sign up for America New, right? And some people are signing up for America New, which is his network. But here's the thing. The way social media is set up, people just want the punchlines and the beef. People watch the Breakfast Club. They hope that they come to blows. They hope that they insult each other. Then Gossip, Hollywood Unlocked, The Shade Room. They pick up the beef. No one is talking about Dame Dash's new entrepreneurial ventures. No one is talking about his artist that he said was the lesbian white version of Aaliyah. No one's talking about his business with Revolt. Everyone's talking about the beef between him and Charlamagne. So is he cutting off his nose to spite his face? Is he up there for no reason? Because he's not pushing his product. His product is cold on the Breakfast Club, right? And you said something interesting, Nose. You also said you're surprised that they don't come to blows. Why specifically did you say you were surprised that they don't come to blows? Because remember, Dame Dash was worried about what the white person thinks.
I just think that the body language, and I know Dame Dash was jumping out of his seat quite a bit, and just the way that they would constantly go at each other. I was like, this, it's always a joke until somebody can't take it anymore. There was a couple, I'll refer quick, there was a couple of guys in high school, and they were doing your mama jokes. Oh, no, they were doing, I forgot what you guys called it, when they go back and forth. You guys in New York. You guys in New York.
Order in the court.
The dozens? Is that what it is? The dozens? Okay. And, one of the guys, it was going back and forth, and one guy said, your mama, and then fists started flying. Because everybody laughed. He's like, your mama, and everybody laughed, and then fists started flying. So it's always fun and games until someone can't take it anymore. And it just really looked like, I didn't think Charlamagne was going to do anything, but I definitely thought Dame Dash looked like he really wanted to, when he would get up, I was like, is he going to punch him? Because he looked like he was really getting irritated with him.
Yeah. I mean, he said a really good, I thought Dame's roasting was way better than Charlamagne's roasting. Charlamagne's corny. He's not a comedian. He's not a comedic writer. I think Charlamagne's lived a sheltered life, to be quite honest. I think he's that guy. Dame Dash is, he's from the streets. Come on, let's keep it on. Let's keep it on. No, Dame Dash is from the streets. But I thought the joke of Dame Dash telling the, DJ Envy and Charlamagne, you guys have been here for 15, 20 years, and it's like POP. What did he say? He said, what is coffin? It like? He said it's like a coffin. There's no windows here, and you guys have been working for 15, 20 years. There's no windows. I thought that was hilarious because, the new set of the Breakfast Club is dark and dreary. And Dame Dash was looking around saying, look, it's dusty, it's dirty, it's dark. You guys show up here every day. And Charlamagne was like, oh, I like coming here. I don't know about that. I don't know if he's capping because it's like he's there, he's working. But Dame Dash has always made a great point, right? The Breakfast Club, meaning DJ Envy and Charlamagne, have kept it very, very safe. They've always worked for someone else, right? So when you dedicate yourself to working for someone else, right, there's no risk. And you got to walk a straight line. But when you wake up in the morning and show up at 6 a.m., you're going to have a job versus Dame Dash, who's constantly on his own independent business ventures. So when someone who works a 9 to 5, so to speak, right, when they try to make fun of someone who's an entrepreneur or someone who's constantly, on different business ventures, it doesn't land the same. Of course, someone who's an entrepreneur is going to have more failures than someone who, is clocking in 9 to 5. So a lot of the jokes that Charlamagne had, I thought were corny. And listen, I love comedy. I write comedy. Um, I appreciate if something is funny, even if I don't like you. Even if I don't like you, I'll be like, okay, that was funny, right? But Charlamagne, he's just not that guy. He doesn't have wit. He does a lot of passive aggressiveness. Passive aggressiveness is not comedy. That's why his jokes don't land. It's kind of like, huh? What the hell did he? What did he just say? Very, very passive aggressive. Also, he comes off as a very, very silly man. And I thought Dame Dash hit it on the head when he was like, "You're a bad representation of masculinity." And I've always said that about Charlamagne, the giggling, the passive aggressiveness. I didn't appreciate him, him equating him to feminine energy or female energy. Because listen, honey, you know what I'm saying? I got way more cojones than a Charlamagne. So I was like, don't throw him on us. But then he was also kept saying that he was gay. And I know gay men that are more masculine than Charlamagne. You were going to say?
No, one thing that really, and this could have got him hit, but not by Dame, was when the other brother, the guy that was huge.
Yeah, with the shades on, and
he was telling his story about losing his wife, and Dame came over there and did something, and Charlamagne had to interrupt and say, "Don't interrupt," like take a dig at him when this guy's like at a point in the story that is like, you're supposed to be listening, you're supposed to be, he's saying something of significance, and he took a chance to interrupt him just to try to get to Dame. And I thought that, I was just like, that, no self-awareness of what's going on right now. He's thinking about himself. He's not thinking about what this man's talking about. And yeah, you never know. I mean, it was just, it was sad. It was sad. I was just thinking, like, maybe if they were not in a radio station, he might have taken a shot at him, but
yeah, it was uncomfortable to watch. It was like a train wreck, but you couldn't look away. What's up, chat? If you guys want to come up and show me your beautiful faces, I did drop the link. If you have an opinion about Dame Dash or Charlamagne, regardless of whose side you're on, please feel free to come up. Cam up though. It was a train wreck. I thought it was even embarrassing. I'll go further and say it was embarrassing when the gentleman who Dame Dash called his OG, sitting down talking about his wife recently passed. It was a horrible story. He was talking about how he was with his wife to the end by her side. And Charlamagne took that time, instead of like falling back, like, let me let this man get this story out. And the fake concern that Charlamagne does is also very annoying, where he acts like he's listening, he's concerned, but he was just waiting to dig at Dame Dash again. So now you have this man in the middle who's very stoic and seems like a very strong, person, sitting in the middle talking about something serious, which is, outreach programs in Harlem, New York City. And you got Dame Dash over here, and then you got Charlamagne the Clown over here, and they're just throwing things at each other in the middle, while this, gentleman is in the middle talking about something very serious, the death of his wife. So I thought it was embarrassing, even like little kids, where it's like, you guys, like, you can't fall back for a second so we can talk about this. But, I always thought DJ Envy and Charlamagne, they're a myriad, a plethora, countless now urban outlets, right? You got Drink Champs, you got the Joe Budden Show, you just have, you got Math Hoffa. You have so many urban, aka hip hop outlets now and podcasts. You got Cameron and Mace, which is a great show. Those guys are funny. Where Dame Dash no longer has to entertain the Breakfast Club. Now, Dame Dash is a longtime businessman, so I think he's using it as a strategy. But I'm telling you, I feel like he's cutting off his nose to spite his face. Nothing good comes from his visits to the Breakfast Club but gossip. Okay? No one's running to see the business ventures he's talking about. They're just talking about his beef with Charlamagne. So I don't know why Dame persists or insists to make them relevant. I don't get it. And I mean relevant in his world, because the Breakfast Club is relevant, right? Just because we don't like people, we can't take away their props. It's a very relevant show. I'm just saying that there's so many other shows where Dame Dash can go and have a serious conversation about his business. Nothing serious is going to go on at the Breakfast Club between them and Dame Dash. And then there was a young lady, a black woman, who said that when Ben Shapiro went to the Breakfast Club, Charlemagne and DJ Envy were not treating him like that. So there's a little black on black violence in the radio world that people are talking about. Again, you guys can come up if you like. Let me see what the chat is talking about. What's up, everybody? Good to see ya. What's up, AJ? What's up, Vaughn? How are you, Miss Ruth? Good to see you. Please hit that like and subscribe for Mama. I'd really, really appreciate it.
Kevin Samuels' ghost is in the house. It's been a while.
Okay, yeah, what's up, Kevin Samuels ghost? All right, this is a great point. You know what I mean? Irby says, but those outlets made Math Hoffa more are pro Jay-Z. Okay, so are you saying that because they're pro Jay-Z, like Dame Dash can't go up there? Or do you think like they're going to be bringing up Jay-Z, which is also, that's also redundant. Like, that's bothered me in the past. Like every time Dame is on an interview, they ask him about Jay-Z like it's his ex-wife. That was over so long ago. And it's just sad that Dame Dash has done so much on his own and constantly keeps getting dragged into the Jay-Z conversation, because they don't ask Jay-Z about Dame Dash. When Jay-Z, he rarely does interviews, but when he does, they're not asking him about Dame Dash. So it's that's pretty terrible. Now, I thought there was a moment where, I'm not gonna lie, I thought there was a moment where they were gonna come to blows, but I think that Dame Dash is smart enough to know, like, if he swings at Charlemagne, there's gonna be hella lawsuits and hella police up there, because Charlemagne's not a fighter. Dame Dash pointed out to him that it's embarrassing that he's known from running from a fight, and Dame Dash was like, I'd rather stay there and get beat up than do what you did. You ran. And then Charlemagne clapped back and was like, well, it was 4 guys, right? But we've all seen the video where Charlemagne ran from that fight and took off, right? He took off. It looked a little crazy. I've been jumped in the Bronx before. It happens, you know what I'm saying, growing up like that, but you stay and you fight, but I think, a lot of what Dame Dash said about Charlemagne is true. He is a soft cat, and everybody don't got to be a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But I just think that when you aren't a fighter, you should watch your mouth a little bit more than Charlemagne does. But he does look like the I'll sue you type, right? And those guys also have a lot of mouth. But I just think that Charlemagne has gotten away with murder for a very, very, very long time. On top of sexual assault, he's also gotten away with talking sideways to people that would otherwise hurt them if there weren't any witnesses or charges to be filed. So he gets away with a lot. But again, going back to the resident white man, no saint, a lot of you are familiar with him. You were perplexed when Dame Dash was like, what are white people going to think about us? But what you're saying is, so are you saying that white people don't even know them, so it doesn't matter?
I'm saying the majority of white people don't know them. They might have seen clips from Charlemagne, something that might have happened.
Mm-hmm.
But if I go to work next week and start asking some of my coworkers that are
Mm-hmm.
white, you know who Dame Dash is, or nobody's gonna know, unless they're into like serious, like old school hip hop, and they know the history. So yeah,
Right.
That's why I was like, well, I don't think anybody even knows who these guys are. Or maybe the white people in New York might know,
Yeah.
But like, I'm talking about like nationwide.
Yeah. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This was impromptu. We didn't plan it. We come on every Friday, but since I got No Saint here with me on the West Coast, we said let's jump on because there's a lot of things going on in the news right now that we wanted to address before Friday. Plus, Mama's been working on and off, so I don't know when we're gonna have time, but we're gonna come on Friday too, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have time before you go back, before you go back home. I want to pull this comment real quick because you guys are dropping knowledge, and if you have more knowledge, I'm learning too. So if you guys have more knowledge than I do of Charlemagne and Dame Dash and their beef and all of that, please feel free to either come up or throw it in the chat. Kenny Kenny, is that New York City? Kenny, New York City
Yeah.
one says, thank you for the comment. Thank you again, guys. If you want to cash app the lady, cash app on the block with Jen. If you can't do that, hit like and subscribe for Mama if it's your first time here. Hola. Okay, so Kenny, New York City one says, they couldn't say nothing to Shapiro because he would run laps around them. Dame is a known bully and narcissist, so they took advantage that now he has less power. And breakfast clubs are propagandists. That's loaded. That's fully loaded. We got a couple magazines in that comment there. So I agree with Ben Shapiro would have run laps around them because he's just, you know, I mean, he's the brighter crayon in the box and he's good at debating, just like Charlie Kirk, which we'll talk about in a minute. Dame is a known bully and narcissist, so they took advantage. Now he has less power. That's deep. So do you guys think that Dame Dash is getting disrespected the way he's getting disrespected by the Breakfast Club because he has less power? Because we all know if Dame went to, and we've seen Dame on other platforms, they don't treat him like the way he's treated on the Breakfast Club. So I think there's something extra disrespectful on the Breakfast Club going on with Dame. And not only extra disrespectful, but unprofessional. Because even if someone loses power, quote unquote, like this comment says, you should still have decorum, right? You should still treat your job professionally. Let's say I can't stand somebody, but they're in my house now. I don't want to look a certain way. So I'm going to still treat them, you know what I mean, decently. I thought the way Charlemagne was acting was very, very infantile and silly. Like, okay, I get it. You're taking an advantage. He doesn't have as much power as he used to. But you look dumb treating him like that. Very unprofessional, I thought. What do you think about Breakfast Club are propagandists?
I need more. I mean, I'd have to know what he means by that. I'm not sure. I know what propaganda is. I don't know what he says they're propagandizing. But I think every show is sort of propaganda.
Are we? It's on the block with
I mean, you're propagating your side or whatever.
Right.
But I get what he might be talking something a little different on that definition.
Okay.
I just don't know what it is because I don't watch it enough.
Okay.
So I'm curious. I'd like to know what he thinks or what he sees about the propagandizing.
Okay. And now that I got you guys all in the room, we did do our man on the street interviews, and I will be dropping those on YouTube and also at Follow Jen Garcia on Instagram. Follow Jen Garcia on Instagram. We did man on the street interviews on the Las Vegas Strip, and we're bringing you really juicy interviews. We just walked up to people and asked them about Charlie Kirk and black fatigue and relationships and gender roles. So we're dropping those soon, so you'll get to see all the crazy people in Vegas responding to our questions, okay? And don't forget, I'm interviewing one of Diddy's attorneys, who's also my attorney, early October. After the sentencing, I will be in New York City, and I will be interviewing my attorney who's on the Diddy defense team. So I'll be bringing you that too. So I'm bringing you a lot of juicy stuff. So subscribe and also follow me on Instagram. There was another comment that I wanted to grab here. Kenny says again, Dame says if you work for a person, you're a nobody. That's his attitude. Look up Dame Dash in meetings. Yeah. Okay, I do remember him saying that, and he might have a very nasty way of saying it, but there is some truth to it. He's just very nasty about it. But I do get what he's saying, where he feels it's better, or he's a better man, or you're a better man if you own your own. I think the underlying notion is ownership. So if you're a 9-to-5 person, which he considers DJ Envy and Charlemagne, then they really can't tell him anything because he's been a boss and an owner. Isn't there some truth to that? Isn't there a little bit of truth to that, where he's looking at them like you're a duck that works for a paycheck someone's paying you and you've been here for decades, so you really can't tell me nothing? You guys don't think that that's a normal way to feel? Like if someone owns a company or they're a boss, you're gonna look at a worker bee that way? No.
Yeah, I understood what he was saying. Like when you own a business, you don't have anybody else but yourself that to rely on. And when you're working for somebody, you're at the mercy of them how your life's going to go. And most of us work for somebody. Uh, the other side of that is when you're working for a company or a business that is very big, that you have maybe more job security. You don't have to worry as much as the person who's running a business that might go out of business and lose their shirt. So the people that own their business obviously have a higher risk tolerance, but when they do make it, it's less stressful, if you ask me. Less stressful in the fact that you know where your next paycheck's coming from. It's coming from your hard work. It's coming from your business, or if you do a franchise, you start getting rich. So yeah. But I got what he said. Yeah, I mean, he was talking about how he didn't, tomorrow if he didn't want to wake up, he didn't have to wake up, but Charlemagne did, to come to that job. So there is a part of your destiny that you're laying in somebody else's hands when you're working a regular job or a 9 to 5 or.
Okay, so piggybacking off that, we have here a business owner, Jabari Bryant. How are you, darling? He says, I own a business and I would never say something like that. But Big Elvis, clap back. I like what he said. You guys are here at 4 a.m. You can't do anything. You're nobodies. Now listen, I've worked 9 to 5 before. Now I work for me, but I've worked 9 to 5 before, and I'm just not as soft as the majority I'm noticing human beings are. I could be at a 9 to 5, and if someone says, "Oh, I'm better than you because you work a 9 to 5," now I don't give a fuck. Like, long as my bills are paid, I don't care. Like, you and I have nothing to do with each other personally, and opinions are as abundant as assholes. Why did everybody forget that? How are we here, man?
Well, I mean, Dame was again throwing digs back at him. I don't know if he would actually say that to people that he wasn't having some little beef with. I don't think most people think that way about 9 to 5 workers, but they're, like I was saying to you though. But I'm sure some are looking at you like you're a sucker. You're working for this business, making this amount of money. You could be doing this yourself. The people that know how to build business and that have been very successful would never work a 9 to 5 because how could you? So I don't know. But I thought Dame was just trying to throw digs.
Throw digs at him.
Yeah.
Okay. Jabari says, as an owner, you have to be at work when the work needs to be done. I work more than any of my people. You ain't never lied, okay? Because when you work for yourself, or you're an entrepreneur, or you want to be independent from someone, holding you by the nuts for your check, it is 24 hours, baby. Your phone is up 24 hours. You barely get a break, okay? It's hand to mouth, and you're doing it. Kevin Samuels, the ghost, says, a job is a job as long as you're not hurting nobody. I don't see a problem. I don't see a problem either. But I think, men are going to be men, and they're going to be, measuring each other's dicks all the time, yeah. Right? Mine is bigger than yours. I want to read Kenny's thing, and then I wanted to jump on the Charlie Kirk stuff. If you've been under a rock, if you haven't been under a rock, What's up, YouTube Press? Haven't seen you in a minute, baby. Good to see you. Age, I'd love for you to come up here one day. Anybody want to come up? Let me know on this Dame Dash thing. For reals. So Kenny says, Dame acts as if everyone is below him. You don't get people stronger to become business owners or entrepreneurs by belittling them and disparaging them. Dame just goes at it like he's better. I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit. I'm gonna give you a little pushback. Some people become better with tough love. A lot of people, by the way. There's that I don't know the guy's name, but he's black, bald-headed. He does a lot of self-help content on Instagram. His nose is very, very flared like this. And he's always running and talking about, you're a bitch if you don't get up at 4 a.m. And he has millions of followers, and they love him. I'm a tough love type of person, so I need somebody telling me, Joe, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you go get it. I'm that type of person. But other people are very sensitive to tough love. So I think it depends on who it is, because I think Dame Dash, I'm gonna agree with him, okay? It was impactful. The first time Dame Dash, the first time he said on the Breakfast Club, you guys work 9 to 5s, you own nothing, you have to come in here check. I'm sorry, but that jarred me. Okay, I was like, yo, this is true. Like, these guys have been working here for 20 years. They have no stake or ownership in this thing. And if their boss decided tomorrow you're out, and she's out, they would have to go. And I'm sorry, that was impactful. When Dame Dash said that, it was impactful. He had a lot of people thinking like, well, shit, I better own something or not leave my life in the hands of a boss. So when he reminded them of that today, I had to salute it and agree with him, because it's true. He was like, I changed our lives when I said that. I changed other people's lives when I said that. I don't think anyone ever said it as harshly as Dame did that episode. And I'm sure a lot of you guys know what episode I'm talking about, when he went up there and it was like, you guys work 9 to 5. And if they wanted to fire you tomorrow morning, you would have to go. Now, let me ask you this. Could Charlemagne and DJ, forget the girls that are there, nobody cares. Could Charlemagne and DJ Envy survive and be as popular as they are on their own without the Breakfast Club umbrella? Now, remember, Charlemagne had a podcast on his own somewhere. I don't know what the hell DJ Envy does on the side except for have babies with his wife, okay? But could either of those two survive on a podcast on their own? I don't know where Charlemagne's podcast went. I don't know if it's still on and popping, but doesn't that make what Dame Dash said true then? If they can't survive without the Breakfast Club umbrella, is the brother right, whether we like how he said it or not? Is there some truth there? Leave his teeth alone. I'm with you. Irby. At his age, he should not care what people, especially random people he don't know. I'm with you. I did think at his age and his career and his relationship, I don't even think he should be on the Breakfast Club. I think he should be above the Breakfast Club, to be real. We all know rappers that don't even touch the Breakfast Club because they're like, I don't need y'all to be this relevant, sell out arenas. I don't have to name names. We all know the rappers right now that are globally selling out arenas that don't have to sit at the Breakfast Club, okay? And I think Dame Dash doesn't have to sit at the Breakfast Club. Again, I don't know why he persists. I don't know why he is up there. It's not doing what he thinks it's doing. So I agree with you. He really should be, at this point, a lot more stoic and a lot more polished. But maybe that's just not his personality. But I would expect someone with his experience in business to be a lot more stoic, okay? And a lot more grounded. So, yo no sé. I'm with you 100%. Yeah, so going down here. Big Elvis, what's up, baby? Says an employer wants the employees to make their dreams come true. It's very difficult to have dreams to fruition when you work for someone else. Absolutely. Gotta salute that. Absolutely. Kenny says Dame would be a gatekeeper. I don't know. Hasn't he helped other people? Hasn't he put them on?
Well, I'll say about the podcast, it's in today's environment. I mean, it's possible they could make, if they brought enough people from their show, it's possible they could make it by themselves on a podcast. We see a lot of people doing it. Stephen A. Smith is doing a podcast. He doesn't need to, but he's doing a podcast. Very successful. Obviously, Joe Rogan, people like that are making a lot of money. So the thing now on these podcasts and on YouTube is that it used to be, it was just a bunch of, anybody made a video, and, in the early years. Now, when you have a following, it's also lucrative for those people to come on these podcasts and stuff. So I think
like Shannon Sharp,
mm-hmm. Right? So, and if you do get fired by the the man or whatever, you can go do your podcast.
Like Shannon Sharp.
Yeah, like Shannon Sharp, right. So, but you have to have a following. You have to be somewhat famous. It's a lot harder to come from the ground up, obviously.
You have to have Cat Williams go ham on your show.
Right.
Right. AJ says Power 1051 dies without Charlemagne the God and Envy. The Breakfast Club is almost too big to fail. POP claps back and says the Breakfast Club is a dead platform for Dame. He should never go back there. It was a waste of time, and time is money. Now, who thinks that the Breakfast Club would tank without Charlemagne and Envy? I've always said when, what's her name? Angela Yee exited, I always thought they should have got some fresh blood in there. That's what I always thought. I thought that Charlemagne should have been replaced. I thought that Envy should have been replaced. They're just, I don't know, in my opinion, and it has nothing to do with age. There are a lot of older podcasters. It has nothing to do with age. I just thought those two are very redundant. They have nothing else to add. They're not more educated, than they were when they first started. There's no elevation. There's no progress. So I was like, they're expendable to me. Sorry, they were expendables to me. And just all the new fresh blood that's out, that's funny, that's witty, that has a lot of knowledge of hip hop. I thought it would have been great for them to turn them tables, get rid of those three, Angela Yee, Charlemagne, and Envy, and get fresh blood in there. I'm sorry, I don't think Just Hilarious is the fresh blood that I had in mind, or the other young lady that's there. I mean, she's the closest thing to a journalist that they have on the Breakfast Club, but even she's boring, right? And she came from TMZ. But it's just the Breakfast Club, like I try to watch it, just aesthetically it's dark. Charlemagne is corny. DJ Envy is in the back constantly defending himself, right? Trying to act like things don't bother him, but he's constantly defending himself, with his head, tucked in all the damn time. I don't know. I don't like the show. I'm not a fan of the show. And I always thought it needed fresh blood. Some people say it's the biggest platform ever still. Some people say, who still watches that shit, right? So I think there are people on both sides. So AJ says Charlemagne the God would thrive. Envy would need to get back with the 1 and 2s. But Charlemagne the God had a podcast. Where is it? What happened to it? That's what I just asked. What happened to the podcast he had? Why didn't it blow up like a Joe Rogan if he's such a badass? Where is it? Where's Charlemagne the God's podcast? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. If his podcast is still on and popping, let me know in the chat, because yo no sé. I honestly don't know. Hold on a minute. Joe Widgeons says, got to be the meanest, baddest old head on the digital block. But yeah, OG Emily Jahinsky just asked me to crack some congressional public files and said, you got me, not work. I have no idea. I don't know what the fuck you talking about, Joel. But thank you for your comment. Oh my God, Joel, I don't know. You gotta explain that. It's late, okay? You gotta explain that to me in little parts. This was a shot. The answer says Dame is not a boss. He's doing interviews with YouTubers with 5,000 subs. Okay, is that a bad thing? Is it strategy? Is Dame just trying to reach everybody? Because even the YouTuber with 5,000 subs is an untapped market for him. Is it strategy, or is it a sign of failure? I don't know. There's some YouTube. And wait a minute, I got 5,000 subs. What the fuck you trying to say? He said people with 5,000 subs. I got 5,000 subs.
I don't know if this is what he's doing, but he may be trying to get a new message out there or something new out there. And like a comedian, they go to the funny bone or whatever. I saw Tommy Davidson well after he was famous doing like in a small comedy club, but he's just trying to see how his material is going to do in front of smaller crowds. So that could be something he's doing too. Like, let me get the word out, but this is also a different crowd. I'm getting the, let me see how this, or let me see how these people react to this. And so it could be any of those things.
Yeah. So, Big Elvis, this is something that I touched on earlier when I was talking about, Charlemagne and Dame Dash trying to roast each other. I was saying that Charlemagne he has no wit or comedic timing, and he's not funny. So everything he was saying was falling flat. Like, his real name is Lennon McKelvey, by the way, Charlemagne the God. Said Dame Dash sneakers were dirty, and he left them up and they were crispy white. Because remember when he said, look, your sneakers are dirty, and Dame was like, I just put these on this morning, right? So they were brand new. And that's what I'm talking about, that Charlemagne is like that corny kid on the playground that gets into a roast he shouldn't have been in, and that gets dragged and then starts just grasping at anything, but it falls flat because people are like, his sneakers aren't even dirty, right? Just, I don't know, to me, a very corny guy. POP says the Breakfast Club is low hanging fruit. Kevin Samuels Gold says Shannon Sharp fumbled the bag hard. Well, he said he's making the most money he's ever made in his career with the YouTube channel, but he did lose what, 100 mil that contract was, 100 mil with ESPN. Yeah, 100 mils. That would have been nice. Yeah. AJ says the Breakfast Club is objectively large. Calling it a dead platform is crazy work. They do numbers on YouTube also. Okay. All right. Someone else is saying Dame has no traction. Leonard. I remember Monique kept calling him Leonard. Hello, thank you. Shout out to Ish in the chat. The Breakfast Club needs Jen Garcia. You're damn right. I get it popping. Over there, no say. There'd be people outside with pitchforks. Yeah.
Dead Jam. Yeah, that was a funny comment.
POP says Charlemagne has a podcast called The Brilliant Idiots with the comedian Andrew Schultz, I believe. Oh, okay. All right. See, and I thought that was like defunct. Like, I thought that was a long time ago, because that's actually, remember I was telling you Andrew Schultz and Charlemagne were having a conversation about his sexual assault. Charlemagne the God sexually assaulted Jessica Reed. And they were having that conversation. Charlemagne the God was saying that he got a girl drunk, and then Andrew Schultz was like, okay, so then you sexually assaulted her. And they giggled about it and they laughed about it. So I thought that was old, POP. So they're still collabing? I did not know that. I thought that was like old news. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. Therese, yeah, I did notice that. Therese says the interview did 2 million views in 2 days, so it worked out for all parties. I did notice that. It worked out for the Breakfast Club. I don't know so much for Dame Dash, because will it get Dame Dash people to subscribe to America New, his network? Will it get people to watch he did Paid in Full, my version of Paid in Full? Will it get people to listen to his quote-unquote white artist, who he called the white lesbian version of Aaliyah, which I thought was wild work? Yeah. How do you introduce an artist by, this is the white lesbian version of Aaliyah? There's so many insults in that comparison that I was like, what is happening, right? Has everybody lost their damn mind? What's up, nephew? I see you. My nephew keeps wanting me to manage him. Andrew Crispin says Dame Dash at one point was on top of the world. If he was as good as a businessman, what happened that he had to start all over again, baby? When people are in business for themselves, they have to start over many, many, many times. I mean, the president of the United States he filed for bankruptcy. How many times? He lost Trump steaks. He lost Trump water. He lost Trump University. He lost Trump ties. He lost Trump. What else failed? What else did Trump fail at? Everything.
The casino,
he's touched.
Right? He lost money in the casino.
So he's pretty much failed at everything. That entrepreneurs, like, we fail at a lot of shit. It's like we keep trying until we hit gold on the other side of that. So I don't really. I'm not gonna hold you for like failing. A business. That's what happens when you're working for yourself or trying to be independent of the man. um, yeah. So all right, guys. So I wanted to just for a second, just to lighten it up a little bit. Just want to lighten it up a little bit, just a little bit. Oh, interesting. This is an interesting point. Fahim Jackson says the Breakfast Club comment section says a lot. They usually side with the guest over the host. That is true. I was noticing that today, and then I jumped in there and I sided with I sided with Dame Dash too, because I just don't. I'm sorry. I think Envy and Charlemagne are clowns. I can't get jiggy with them. But I told you before, I don't like silly men. I don't like silly acting men. You don't have to be an Andrew Tate, okay? But I think men in general, if you were born with a penis, you should have some sort of stoicism. I think there's a time where you should have a poker face, right? That is what women look for. That is what other men look for. Men can smell blood in the water. And I think DJ Envy and Charlemagne bleed all over the place. That's how I feel, okay? Sharks can smell blood in the water, and I think they bleed all over the place. It's a turnoff to women. It's a turnoff to other men. I think they're very, very silly. And I don't like silly men, especially older silly men. So I think that's why maybe in the comment section, people do side with the guest instead of the host, right? Because they're just silly. I can't get jiggery, but this is just my opinion. You guys may love them and you're entitled to loving the Breakfast Club. It's just not something I watch. And to be honest, had this thing not been hot in los redes, that's how we say social media in Spanish, los redes, I would have never even bothered to watch it, but I wanted to be abreast of the actual interview so I can speak on it. I just didn't want to be speaking on it the side of my neck, but it was exactly what I expected. Charlemagne and Envy just sitting there like two cackling hens throwing, darts at each other. And again, I still say, I don't know why Dame goes up there still. He should be done with those platforms. I wish he didn't. It would make him look better if he's like, nah, I'm done with that. I don't go on them. And go somewhere else. I don't go on Joe Budden. Go on Shannon Sharp. Go over to sit at the barbershop with Matt Hoffa. Like, dude, go sit with Cameron. And I don't know. But leave the Breakfast Club alone already. And it's getting worse and worse. You got Just Hilarious up there now. It's dark in there. I don't know. Yo no sé. I don't know. Yo no sé. That my opinion. Anyway, and I'm entitled to it. Y'all are entitled to yours. So let's switch gears for a second really, really quickly. What's up, Kevin Pryor from 950 Lounge? I just did an interview with them, okay? Check out 950 Lounge, spelled 950 Lounge. I just did a very incendiary interview with them. So go over there and get mad at what I said, like y'all always do. So I want to switch gears a little bit, speaking of what people can and can't say and who's getting mad or whatever. Ish says Charlemagne and DJ MV are both quite feminine and not even called them out on some real issues. Oh, well, I didn't hear about that, so yo no sé. Okay. Thank you, Big Elvis, because I knew I wasn't bugging. Big Elvis, the Chef Rosenberg says, last episode of Brilliant Idiots was a year ago on YouTube. I knew he wasn't doing it anymore. And this is what I'm saying. Can Charlemagne and DJ Envy survive without the Breakfast Club umbrella? If they both branched off and did their own shows, would you guys be running to see them like you go run and see Vlad? Would you guys go see them like you pull up for Vlad? I don't see it. Jonathan. Jonathan, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh yeah, those two are married. Like DJ Envy and Charlamagne, them two, I'm sure they're closer than those two are closer than they are to their own wives. POP says Envy and Charla have a bromance and they giggle together the whole show. Again, I don't like silly men. I don't like it. AJ is challenging Big Elvis and Chef Rosenberg and said wrong. It was 4 days ago. So I don't know. So I wanted to go really quickly. If you guys didn't hear, Charlie Kirk, the MAGA man, was assassinated. What, a week ago now? Is it a week ago? Was assassinated. You all saw the video. Popped him right in the neck, splitting an artery and having him pour out like a Quentin Tarantino gunshot. We all saw it. The fallout, the aftermath is you're fired. Everybody's getting fired. Anybody that has something sideways to say about Charlie Kirk, Trump isn't having it. Okay, a lot of students are getting bagged in their school. A lot of people at workplaces are getting bagged. A lot of people are fired. No Saint and I were doing man on the street interviews yesterday. We went up and asked about Charlie Kirk. People were afraid to speak to us about Charlie Kirk, literally turning away, cringing, hiding where they work. A lot of people, unless they were praising Charlie Kirk, did not want to speak on camera about Charlie Kirk. So freedom of speech as we know it is muy muerto, mi gente. These people were afraid to talk to us, but we still got some good interviews coming up. But whenever we mention Charlie Kirk, it was like Beetlejuice, 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 or Candyman, Candyman, Candy. These people, I mean, the color left their face. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want that. I'm like, these people are really scared. Trump has everybody on pins and needles. Pins and needles. And the most recent famous firing was Jimmy Kimmel. Something I didn't think I'd see because he's a comedian, right? Now, no Saint, do you recall what he said that got him fired? What was so incendiary? What was so incendiary?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly. I'm gonna paraphrase.
Right.
I know that he basically said that the people on the right, the MAGA crowd, is taking advantage of the situation, like of it being, and he even said something to the fact that he thought that the shooter was more MAGA or something, like was right wing, and so so what happened was that obviously, I mean, a lot of people on the right don't like Jimmy Kimmel, don't like any of those, don't watch. A lot of them will say, I don't watch any of the any of these shows anymore because they're all liberal. So they already aren't liked by a group on the right, but now I don't know if you want to go into what the FCC is doing.
Okay, so before we go into the FCC, I do have a quote because everybody's like, what did Jimmy Kimmel say? What did Jimmy Kimmel say to get him fired, right? He's a comedian. He does the monologue before the talk show, and they canned him. Now, no Saint, do you have your phone? Do me a favor, guys. Check Jimmy Kimmel's net worth. We all know that when you Google net worth is on or off by a couple million or a couple, 100 million. But just for shits and giggles, I want y'all to Google for me Jimmy Kimmel's net worth. Let's see if he has some fuck you money.
So as soon as you want to move a little bit, I want to address what he said.
Okay, but let's find out what Jimmy Kimmel said. Like, oh my God, fired for talking about Kirk. So in his monologue on Monday, Kimmel said that we hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. Apparently that was enough to get him canned. He called MAGA a gang and said basically that MAGA was using Charlie Kirk's death to gain political points. What did the FCC say? First of all, what's the FCC for the people that don't know?
Yeah, the Federal Communication Commission. The guy's name, I think you might have it, the one who heads it up. So that he basically put it out to the networks that the FCC could start to fine the networks and whoever were to run Jimmy Kimmel, they could find, they would be under scrutiny too. So I see where Mr. Bryant there, he says he's got a few comments there, but
okay, so
the problem
Jabari,
was he lied. That's
right.
what he said.
Jabari's saying that the problem was he lied, he being Jimmy Kimmel, and he also says he was not making a joke. So as we know it, the monologue in the beginning is supposed to result in laughs. That's what the monologue is for. So Jabari's saying he wasn't making a joke. Now, you didn't think it was funny or it wasn't a joke, because they're two different things, Jabari. Sometimes we don't think something is funny, but it is a joke, right? And the monologue is usually full of jokes.
Yeah, and I'm looking at his last comment too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, slanderous to who though? I think he was kind of just, it would be the whole of MAGA, I guess. But what he said was that he lied. So there's a couple of things. There's a lot of misinformation on a lot of different channels where people are lying. If you want to go back to the and they got sued. Some of them got sued. Like I know Fox got sued, and I believe Max got sued for saying that the voting machines were rigged and everything. But I mean, a lot of people lie, but the problem is the FCC never doesn't really say you got to get rid of somebody, right? Mm-hmm. The problem is this is another loyalist that was put into office, and so I kind of knew, like, the president is constantly attacking entertainers that he doesn't like or that he has a beef with. So this is one example of Kimmel. Now I said this to you earlier too. Kimmel needs to take the temperature of the room. He should have stayed away from that subject completely. I mean, and I'm not saying he should. Even if he wouldn't have got fired, he should stay away from it. I don't think that's. I just don't think it's anybody getting killed is funny. I don't think you should make jokes about it, even if it's not about not about the guy himself. But we're in a different time. I know 60 Minutes bowed their knee because they weren't going to be able to merge, and that's something the FCC does, allow you to merge. Mm-hmm. So the top people in CBS caved, and now we're seeing where NBC doesn't want any part of it. And I thought something else that was really interesting is that the NFL games had a moment of silence. And there were some stadiums, unfortunately, that people booed for Kirk. NFL doesn't want. It's all about, like, we don't want our business ruined, right? If the NFL doesn't do this, then what? Then Trump can come back out and say the NFL is this, they're leftist, they're this, and then there's another boycott going on. So the NFL learned their lesson 4 or 5 years ago when all that was going on. So I just think that the FCC should not be in the business of running other, fine them. That's fine. If he wants to fine them for that event, FCC fines people all the time. They fine radio stations all the time. Yeah. So that's their job. But to sit there and say you need to get rid of this person and nobody else can hire you kind of sounds like censorship, kind of sounds like an overreach. I will flip it on the other side. I knew that the right was kind of saying this 4 years ago when businesses were saying you need to have a vaccine or you had to get, and they felt like, or maybe the social media, they were getting suppressed and they were complaining as well. So I mean, I'm not saying the left or the Democrats are free from doing things that are not right either.
I'm gonna grab the charger, entertain la gente, and I'm gonna come back with Jimmy Kimmel's net worth, which is surprising, and his annual salary. Ouch! I'll be right back.
So, and this is a perfect example of someone who could go do a podcast and bring a lot of people over there. Now, he would never bring anybody that already doesn't like him to a podcast, but if you're that hardcore, in other words, like I know that when Joe Rogan started doing things that people on the far left didn't like, they stopped listening to him. I'm sure Jimmy Kimmel wouldn't get a lot of people that are far right listening to him. But that's the thing, something he could actually do is he could actually go to a podcast and make a living because he's talented.
Absolutely. But do you think he's podcast talented? Because that's
Yes.
a whole other thing. You think so?
Yes.
Okay, so Jabari is fighting hard on the other side. He said what Kimmel was saying was slanderous and opened them up for a lawsuit. But again, you guys know I'm a huge fan of comedians, and I got a big heart for comics specifically. I hate when comics are censored. They're like the laughter of current events, our current environment, the era that we live in. I really think that comics are sacred. Like they should be left to comedy, right? He's a comedian. Now Jabari said it wasn't funny, so it wasn't a joke, right? Pero yo no sé. AJ says Kimmel would crush on YouTube. I don't know. I'm gonna challenge you guys on that. I don't know about that. So if you didn't know, give or take a couple of million, we're looking at celebrity net worth. Jimmy Kimmel does have some fuck you money. 50 million. It says he's worth 50 million. His annual salary was $16 million. Annual salary, $16 million. It says here, right here in the Economic Times, Jimmy Kimmel loses his annual salary of $16 million after ABC sacks him over Charlie Kirk comments. Now, he still has 50 mil and who knows what other business ventures, but he has fuck you money. 50 mil is fuck you money, yeah?
Yeah.
He's not going to be hurting tomorrow, right?
I mean, it's not Charlie Sheen, 2 million an episode, but.
Right, Irby says comedians and podcasts are two different things. Saint, listen, I like Jimmy Kimmel. I don't know. I'm having a difficult time picturing him on a podcast with headphones and a microphone. I mean, the good thing about him is that a podcast can keep him working, and he does have the network to have big names sitting there.
Absolutely.
And we're all about the big names sitting there. So I will give him that, right? But Jabari's like, he ain't funny. Jabari, you can't have it both ways. He said, I'm not saying it was not funny. I'm saying it was not a joke. So you're saying that he was speaking seriously. It wasn't a joke? Because how can it be funny, but it wasn't a joke? You playing with me, Jabari? Jabari's trying to get cut on this late night. Oh shit, really? Not even with D.L. Hughley helping him over there, Jabari? It says Don Lemon is not killing it, laughing out loud. His numbers are not good. Don Lemon ain't doing good over there?
And I don't think Don Lemon is like an entertainer.
I don't think so. I don't think so either.
I mean, Jimmy Kimmel, before he was a talk show host, had his own, the Man Show or whatever. And so he's had several different ways to... I think he would be able to pivot. That's all I'm saying. I think he'd be able to put something together.
Oh, no, I don't think he would fail because, again, he can have Tom Cruise in the seat.
He could have Stern. He could have, because they're friends. He could have Jimmy Fallon. They're friends.
Yeah, I don't think he would fail at all. Not with his network. That's crazy. Jabari saying yes. Watch the entire monologue. Miss Roof, gang mama. Miss Roof said his show got 20 million subscribers. Who, babe? All right, guys, do me a favor, hit like and subscribe if you're here for the first time. Hi, this is Impromptu. We decided to jump on because there's a lot of things going on in the news, but we're usually on every single Friday night. We did some man on the street interviews about Charlie Kirk, about black fatigue, about gender roles. I'm going to be dropping those this week coming up. Please follow me at Follow Jen Garcia. I'm going to be dropping them here on YouTube and also on Instagram for the people that are on Instagram, okay? Miss Ruth said Don Lemon just hit 800,000 subs. Wow, I thought he'd have more than that. Interesting. I thought he'd have more than that because he was on CNN, right?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, I thought he'd have more than that by now. But sometimes it slows down. Jabari's still fighting in the chat. He says, Jabari's like, wait a minute. No, I'm not commenting on whether or not it was funny at all. I am saying if you watch the entire monologue, you will see that he was not making a joke. On On what grounds? Because this is where I'm confused, Jabari. On what grounds? Because Jimmy Kimmel delivers his monologue the same way all the time. So that's what I'm confused. Did he have a different tone? Help me out. Did he, before I go look for it, did he have a different tone? Because he delivers the monologue the same way all the time. Was he sitting down with his arm crossed, talking seriously, no punchlines, no laugh track, nobody laughing in the audience? Was it more of a speech than a monologue? Help me out. What made this particular time? Because Jimmy Kimmel talks about politics all the time. He makes fun of the president, things like that. So what to you gave not a joke? That's what I'm trying to understand. Help me out, baby, because it's late and I'm a little. Sundown says the right made fun of Trayvon Martin and made thousands of memes about George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and said it's free speech. Now they want to cancel people for making jokes about Charlie Kirk. How do you know that it was the right, darling? How do you know it was the right that made thousands of memes of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and what have you? Because remember, a lot of people jump on social media to stoke the fires because they know people are going to argue in the comments for days. So how do you know, right? How do you know? How do you know? Making fun of anybody. Can we just all agree that making fun of anyone who gets assassinated or murdered for no reason, be it Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, Charlie Kirk, can we just everybody agree that that's wrong and the people making fun of it are really repulsive? I think we can all agree with that, you know? Yep. I know social media has desensitized us. I know we've all watched that video of the cartel, you know, carving that man alive. I know we're all desensitized. We're all tough. But can we just all agree that it is disgusting to poke fun on someone who is senselessly murdered, right? And just to validate what you're saying, Sundown, I did see after Trayvon Martin was murdered, I did see them. This was way before the AI and all of that. This is when Trayvon got murdered, and they were using his body in a lot of joke memes. It was sickening. It was sickening to see. They took the death, what do you call them? The death photos. Mm-hmm. They took those photos and they were cutting out the background and putting Trayvon Martin's body in a lot of different places. That was really, really sad and sickening. When Kobe Bryant died, they were making fun of him and his daughter. I saw something that said, this is the hottest his daughter will ever look. Okay? There was a lot of really disgusting things about Kobe Bryant, but there are a lot of demons and devils on social media that purposely throw those things out so people can argue, so they can get engagement on their social media accounts. And we don't know who's saying it. We really don't know who's behind those avatars. Black people have pretended they were white. White people have pretended they were black. Your baby mama has pretended she was somebody else. Like, you can hide behind those things just to create chaos. And there are a lot of agents of chaos on social media, right?
Yeah. I think that it may be more prevalent today, this and it's sick, there's no doubt about it, making jokes about Kobe Bryant, you know, and his daughter and Trayvon Martin. I can tell you one thing. Now I'm going to sound old, back in my day, back in 1986, the space shuttle, I think it was Challenger, blew up, and it had Terry McAuliffe, the teacher, on there. Mm-hmm. I was in high school, mm-hmm. and watched it happen and everything. And I'm telling you, within an hour, there was a joke out about it. What color was Terry McAuliffe's eyes? Blue. One blew this way, one blew that way. Within an hour. I don't know how it got to the school. I don't know who made it up. And that was before social media. So it's been done and people have always been kind of mean and distasteful when it's not somebody that you care about or, you know, you have no connection with. But obviously social media, it's a lot easier to spread that kind of stuff around, and people are now trying to do it because, oh, that's my meme, or look at Circle the World, and then you got agents of other countries trying to divide people, so they're probably throwing some in there as well.
Yeah, and it's very easy to do. This is what I was talking about. Jabari Bryant says Don Lemon was a primetime anchor on CNN. 800,000 subscribers is not high for his status. I agree with that because how many viewers does CNN have? My phone is dead, so I can't Google it. But think about it. When you think about how many people watch CNN, only Don Lemon was only able to bring 800,000 after a year. So in 12 months, he can only pull 800,000 people that know him from CNN. I thought it was low as well. But I think it's because you said, who was it that said Don Lemon's not an entertainer?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so maybe that's a reason where a lot of people watch people because they're entertaining, like me and No Saint. You guys like being here, right? But Don Lemon isn't a personality, really. Like, he could get a little gay stank, you know what I mean? He gets a little gay stank every now and then, but he's not somebody I would run to see his opinion, to be quite honest, right? But AJ is clapping back. AJ says 800,000 in a year absolutely is. He's a journalist and not an entertainer. The following makes sense. Y'all about to make me cam up. Cam up then, AJ. Cam up. Because I'm saying it's a little bit for someone who was on CNN for years and years and years and years.
That goes worldwide, too.
And CNN is worldwide, all right? So I'm sorry, 800,000. I'm watching my friends get that just because they throw on MAGA hats. And I'm keeping it 100. You know a couple of people I'm talking about. These guys are just, they grifted, they threw on a MAGA hat, and now they got 100,000 followers in a couple weeks. So I'm sorry, Don Lemon, being established as he is on a global network, I am a little surprised that he's only at 800K after 12 months. That means that all them people watching him on CNN did not follow. That's interesting. And I like Don Lemon, by the way. I used to call him my gay crush. I like Don Lemon, by the way. But again, he's not somebody I'm going to run to go see. I actually used to watch him on CNN. Right now, I'm not checking to see where his channel is. He was on CNN. It was convenient. He was already there. But no, do I go out my way to find him? No, I don't. I'm not even going to lie. Not even going to lie. Fahim Jackson says it sounds like contracts were up to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel. Okay, Jabari Bryant says that, you know, whenever it's Trump, I guess whenever it's Trump related, his tone is different. He said he had a similar monologue when Trump won. Okay. That's cool. Okay. All right. So guys, please, I can't tell you enough. Please like and subscribe, okay? It helps mama. Cash App by your girl is Smoothie. It is scrolling on the bottom. Okay, it's scrolling on the bottom. Cash App on the block with Jen. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us on this impromptu episode of On the Block with Jen. We didn't even know that we were coming up tonight, but I'm trying to get all the juice out the squeeze because No Saint isn't gonna be here. We did do man on the street interviews regarding black fatigue, gender wars, and Charlie Kirk. I think you're gonna be surprised by the answers that we got because we interviewed people on the Las Vegas Strip. We're gonna try to get even more interviews before No Saint leaves. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Love you guys all. Thank you for all the comments and schooling me. I love this chat. This is like one of the smartest freaking chats on YouTube. No cap, because you guys always have the facts. Okay, so I am out of here. Love y'all. Go Mimi. We are going to sleep, and we will see you on Friday, our regular day. Remember, our regular day is Friday night. Okay. So be back on Friday. Love you all. Good night. AJ, next time cam up. We'd like to get different voices up here. Por Dios. All right, guys. Good night. Love you all. On the block with Jen. Bye. And we're out.
Whee.